and I said it's around 250,000 people move to Arizona every year. And majority of that goes to Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix and Surprise and a lot of the other surrounding suburbs reside. And I think that's why it's so important that we get more churches out here and more resources, and that we're able to expand. Yeah. Because you've got so many people you've basically got a whole city of people every year that move to Arizona. Yeah. And so this is going to be a great opportunity, I think, in the future to reach the amount of people that are pouring in. Well, welcome to Season 3 of the Pure Heart Church podcast. I'm here with Heath and Matt, and today we've got kind of a fun episode. We're going to be talking about some of the awesome things that we've been involved with as a church last year, but also some pretty cool things that we're going to be involved this year. So I can't wait. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah. So good. Can you believe it's Season 3?
I know. Yeah. Man, where has the time gone? What does they say? The days are long, but the years are short. That's basically how it's felt.
Who says this now?
They,
those people.
Yeah, it's the abstract shadows out in the distance.
Names.
I think I read that on Wikipedia somewhere.
Hang on, let me go do some reference work. I'll be back. Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Who said this?
That's true. Yeah.
No, but 24 was jam packed full of really cool things, and I mean, anywhere from just seeing the amount of growth that we experienced here at Pure Heart, to also just things like engaging with Project 42, seeing great things happen with School Connect. I mean, online campus, so many different areas, just had so much content and so much stuff happen. So what was your favorite thing about last year?
Yeah. Well, I think one of my favorite things has been, as far as on campus and off campus, has been our growth. I have been just astounded to see how many people are wanting to get connected. Our growth in our heart crews, our growth on campus, our growth in online viewership. And that's really important to us because we want to get the word out there, and we want people to experience the love of Christ and experience this wonderful relationship with God that we get to experience. And I think that's really cool. Yeah. I'm sure you guys can probably speak into more of the specifics of that.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where over the last 6 months of 24, we experienced just shy of a 20% growth rate. Which I mean, we're talking about numbers, and a lot of times numbers it can get lost. Well, okay, you're talking about percentages, all that stuff. What we're talking about is tangibly. These are lives. These are people who have jumped in, many of them for the first time, committing in church and stepping in and joining, or they've been people who have made a decision for the first time to follow Jesus. Yeah. And so these numbers matter because people matter. And seeing that life change take place, the amount of baptisms and just all across the board, that's the excitement level that I mean, both we're all talking about here is that's what we're excited about. Yeah. Numbers for numbers' sake don't matter. The people matter.
Our church sits in a non-growth area. Yeah. It's all developed out. There's not
it's
new
an older
builds,
community too.
Older community, and the fact that there is more and more people ending up at our campus, we just go, wow, praise God, because that means there's people that are either coming from outside of this area or people that are in this area that are going, I want to find church. I want to get connected in church. And then even you mentioned earlier today when we were kind of talking about it, the statistics, can you run those statistics of church growth? I think that really helps put that in perspective.
Well, I mean, healthy church growth just from year to year would fall right around the 3% range. 5% is going, hey, your church is moving in the right direction. It's got traction. 10% is you're looking at that going, you should probably take notice. Something's an anomaly here. To be hitting at around the 18-20%, what it really shows me is that there is an excitement and buy-in from the people who attend here. They believe in what it is that we're communicating to the point where they are actively bringing people because they want people they know to experience life change personally.
But what I love is that these people, they are actually getting connected, they're getting involved. So it's one thing, I think, if I would almost be, I hate to use the word disappointed, but if we had all this growth, which that's great, but these people are just coming in the weekend and leaving, that we're just a venue, a thing that they do, they're punching the clock. We could say it's a Sunday morning thing. They did it. They got the church out of the way. No, these are people that they have jobs, they have families, they have lives, and they're going, in spite of the busyness of my life, I want my relationship with God to matter. I want to be in community with people. That matters. Yeah. I want to make an impact in the lives of people that are struggling with hunger or addiction or mental health or whatever. I want to be a part of that getting better because I believe that this mission and vision that God's called Pure Heart to is important and makes a difference. And I love that because it's a stake in the game. You see a tangible growth in people's life when they're beginning to do that. And that's what I love. That's what gets me excited.
And I think that ties right into the whole thing of it matters. Because of the elements that God has called us to, people are buying into them. Yeah. So it would be one thing if like, man, I really like the experience on the weekend. That's great.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think what people are connecting to is the fact that Pure Heart's emphasis is about making a difference in the community. And so LifeBridge has had a phenomenal year of being able to tangibly serve people in need in so many different areas. Yeah. Anywhere from people getting their GEDs or to the Safe Lots ministry to just making sure that people are fed, or that through School Connect we're helping, resource teachers and kids. All of those things are elements that are serving the community around us. And I really believe that that's something that compels people to buy in, in such a way. And actually it's more than just showing up on the weekend, which is huge because what you show up to communicates value. Yeah. But I believe that the value is there because Pure Heart as a ministry really values the community that we've been placed in. Yeah. And so it matters.
Yeah. I think another area that I've just seen that again, I'm a little bit biased, but just the online campus growth. What's amazing is when we started doing this online campus thing, it was really as kind of just a response to COVID. Right. And then we saw these people connecting from different countries. And recently we started doing this survey, pureheart.org/survey. We're like, hey, we want to get people connected in community online. And that's a tough thing to figure out because there's a range of people that are watching our service who they maybe have no church background and stumbled across our service, to maybe some church background or, far from faith, or they go regularly or a second service, or they attend Pure Heart. And so there's everything in between. How can we get these people connected in community? But as I was looking at today, I was going over with one of our guys in our IT, hey, what are some of the things? There were some names that I'm like, I have no idea who these people are or where they're from. And I was actually getting to talk with one of them today, someone in Las Vegas. Accepted Christ, and they're like, I haven't found a church community near me. I've been looking for community. I've been trying to find out what God has for me. I want to serve in church. I'm like, this is amazing. We're trying to figure out what that looks like. And so as we have these conversations, like, man, this isn't just people that are watching. There's people that are actually going, this is a part of my faith experience. This is my growth, my relationship with God. I think that for me is not just, again, numbers that are people clicking on something, that people are going, this is making a difference in my life. Yeah. This is a part of it, impacting my relationship with God. It's like, that's what we want.
Traditionally, churches tend to do more of the broadcast. They go, this is what's happening in the room.
Fly on the wall experience.
Yeah. And that has its own result. What you end up drawing are people who wish they were in the room.
For sure.
We can do that and everything, but if we want to reach who no one else is reaching, we have to do what no one else is doing. And the fact that with you leading that, make a unique experience for the online viewer. Not only have we seen those numbers remain past COVID, but they've practically doubled in viewership. And people are going, wait, but that's not what's happening in the room necessarily. No, but it's its own thing. Yeah. It's catering and connecting. More importantly, it's connecting with people who may never step foot in the room, and meeting them in a completely different space.
Yeah, and
that's amazing.
It's, so many times that broadcast style from the room feels like TED Talk. Kind of, again, it's on a basic level comparison, not saying TED Talk and a church service is the same, but a person walking on a stage talking to a crowd and stuff, but you're not there engaging with that person. And, we really said, hey, how can we make a worship experience? How can we make, someone talking to the camera like influencers tend to do? Like, hey, TikTok, Instagram, they're talking to that camera and they're going like, hey, I'm talking to you. And the church has kind of not done that a lot because it's hard. Yeah. It takes a lot of work. People don't know how much time behind the scenes, people like, Zach and Emily and Pepe and stuff, that they're spending this time to, and then our, the band and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it is a whole ordeal to create what we do. I go, hey, we're meeting niche, and we're blessed to be able to do it.
And I mean, and the results are proving the point. I mean, they speak for themselves. Yeah. There's fruit there. And I love it. I believe that innovation and creativity should be an earmark of believers.
Yeah.
It really should. And I love when we tap into that in some way. And I believe we're just scratching the surface on some things. There's so many areas that I believe as a church we can continue to actually start becoming more innovative in. But I believe that innovation echoes the creativity of our Creator.
Yeah.
And when we do that, it draws attention not to us, but to God.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about how that's going to continue developing as we look forward.
Yeah, and I think it's really amazing that because we're in the creative department, and so we have creative conversations all the time of we're like, oh, how are we going to do this? Like, how do we make worship look? How do we whatever? But that's not just us that's having those kinds of conversations. In every department of our church, people are always trying to find creative solutions to maybe a problem that needs to be addressed in the city or a problem that needs to be addressed globally.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about School Connect. I know maybe not a lot of people know what that is, but that's addressing that problem head on that some of our schools are facing, and it's all across the nation, right?
Yeah, and because schools are notoriously under-resourced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both students and teachers are pouring in a lot, and they're not given a lot.
Yeah.
And so what I love about School Connect is the mentality of going, let's actually connect churches to schools nearby them, and going, let's resource, but let the resource be the faith communities that are surrounding them, which makes such a tangible impact that in the community on so many levels, not only on a personal level with kids, but also government level. They start viewing churches differently because of how they're leaning in. Yeah. The witness of that is huge. Parents are affected by it. So it covers the gamut in so many different ways of how churches can be not only a locational geographical place, but a movement in their community. And so I love what School Connect's doing.
I also just think about, any one of us have been at a job where someone goes, what is it exactly they do? Right. And you could do a ton of stuff.
What is it you say you do here? Yeah.
But if nobody sees it, it's like, I do all this stuff, I do all these things, and I know that for a ton of these people on our staff at Pure Heart, it's like, I have no idea half the time what they're doing, but man, I'm seeing impact for their ministry and things like that.
Right.
But it's because I'm around them. I'm in a relationship with them. And in the same way, if we are not in relationship with these people that are in the world, if we're not in relationship with places like schools or communities or meeting the needs of people that are struggling, it's like, if we're not there, how can they see Christ? How can they see oh, wait a minute, the impact you're having? Because I think that's a lot of times as Christians, we can be like, don't you see what we're doing? No, they don't. We're not around them. So they have no way of being able to even recognize wow, being the hands and feet of Christ, that's making a difference. The things God's doing in your life, that's making a difference. But that sometimes comes at a cost.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole Matthew 5:16. Let your light therefore shine before others so that they may see your good works. Why? Not so that you look good, but so that they'll glorify your Father in heaven. There is that thing of going, we should be compelled to do these things. Yeah. And in doing so, it draws people to God.
And even
plain and simple.
It's funny because the amount of times I hear people that go, hey, how'd you hear about Pure Heart? You know what? Someone in the community was telling me the things you are doing, or I've heard good things. And it's like, okay, well then praise God for that.
Yeah.
Because that's our testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're constantly trying to find ways to meet people where they're at. Again, like you said, an example of Jesus, and one of those ways is something that I think is really exciting. Some exciting news is there's some parts of Phoenix that maybe do not have a lot of churches yet, but for those of you that have been following us for a while, we've been trying to get some land in Surprise for a new campus. Heath,
which is a city.
Yeah, Surprise
Surprise
Arizona
is a city. They're like, what's the surprise?
Surprise, Arizona is a suburb of Phoenix.
So one of the questions that we asked when we're looking at the future for Pure Heart was, does Pure Heart have a unique enough vision that we feel it should expand beyond this campus? And we've done some things.
Wouldn't it have been unfortunate if we go, nope.
Pack it up, boys. Yeah, I was like, okay, let's just call it a day.
I guess we'll hang out here for a little bit.
But I mean, it's a legitimate, because a lot of times I think we will answer something before we've actually been asked the question. So we'll assume that, yes, this needs to be replicated without understanding why.
Yeah.
And so the answer, the niche of Pure Heart happens to be something that we feel does connect with people, and we've seen that. And so because of that, we started looking at what's the next phase of this? Because we have things like we have our United campus in Peoria, which is a different experience. We have on that campus, we have PHC Espanol, PHC Peoria, but they're different experiences than, say, the Glendale campus.
Right.
But looking at the uniqueness of what God has called Pure Heart Central to, we went, I think there is a need to expand this beyond this campus. And so the purchase of 40 acres of land, which has closed in January of 2025, is a huge step towards that. And it's a big leap of faith. But we were able to secure it at a very comparably low rate, low price. But we're excited about the fact that we don't know how long it's going to take, but the plans for building another campus to extend this ministry out into a very new, developing, growing area, which is very different than even this area, because here in Glendale, we are built out, like we said, to have those two environments with the same mission is really exciting. And I'm trying to wrap my head around all the possibilities of what that can look like. And I don't think we were going to have a full grasp on it for a while, but the first step is there. We're heading towards a new campus in Surprise, which is amazing.
No, it's incredible. I was actually reading the other day through one of the Arizona news sources, and they were talking about the amount of people that move into Arizona every year. And I said it's around 250,000 people move to Arizona every year. Yeah. And majority of that goes to Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix and Surprise and a lot of the other surrounding suburbs reside. And I think that's why it's so important that we get more churches out here and more resources, and that we're able to expand. Yeah. Because you've got so many people you've basically got a whole city of people every year that move to Arizona. Yeah. And so this is going to be a great opportunity, I think, in the future to reach the amount of people that are pouring in and hopefully looking for a relationship with Christ.
Yeah. And that's just that's the most immediate new thing as we're looking forward into 2025. But what are you excited about for 25?
I think for me, the thing I'm excited about is trying to figure out, and again, it's a thing to figure out. We've talked to other churches and tried to, hey, what are you guys doing? And it's community online. And if we just think about it, like my own personal browser habits, you go, okay, I'm watching a video or oh, they asked me to like it. They asked me to subscribe. I guess I could do that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that feels like an effort. You're like, I don't want to, then it's going to show up on my feed more. And so that's kind of like that first step that people are kind of committing to, but then going like, hey, we want you to actually move beyond that. We want you to are you in community somewhere? Are you connected to a church somewhere? Even for your second service, are you connected to that church there? Are you serving in that church? Are you serving your community? And how can we move people beyond just being an observer? Similarly to what we've talked about at our main campus, is trying to move them beyond just the weekend attendee. And it's even that much more of a step, but I'm excited about trying to get people, we've shopped some different ideas. Maybe we find pools of people that hey, Boston, man, there's a chunk of people watching in Boston, in Germany. Oh, that's our second biggest.
I think you said Boston wrong. It's Boston.
Boston.
There you go.
And New York. And New York. Just do the accents. Do the accents. Do the accents of each place. That'll suddenly our viewership goes down. They're like, that was not how we talk.
You're mocking us, aren't you?
My cousin used to say that. She'd always be like, she was from Alabama, I think it was, and I do the Alabama voice. She's like, that's not how I talk, and I'm like, it is. How do you know I'm not talking? Anyhow, I digress.
Thank you for not doing the Alabama voice.
Exactly. So, but finding maybe pockets of people that hey, sometimes we don't want to sit on a Zoom meeting. I get that. Right. Or a hangout group or something. But what if it was you guys are meeting locally? What if you're serving locally? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not coming here to our LifeBridge Center serving, but what are opportunities near you? There's a hurricane that maybe happens, or an earthquake, or fires or something. Like what happened in LA.
How
suddenly
can you rally people in community
to meet the need and be the church. And so we've done a good job, I think, of trying to build creativity, trying to create an experience that is not really like much of anything out there, how do we take people beyond that?
Yeah.
Beyond just the experience to being experiential in their walk or something. I don't know. I was trying to be
demonstrative.
demonstrative. There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's so super important. I mean, there's so many people that they need to find community, and it's a lot harder now. Especially post COVID. I talk to so many people all the time. Being in my generation, I talk to, we have a lot of friends, my wife and I, who are, they're like around our age, where they're like, okay, so I'm in my early 20s, but I'm married, but I don't have kids yet. And you're like, trying to find like, what community do I fit in? Like stuff like that. And it's hard for a lot of people, or there's a lot of other age ranges where you're like, where do I fit in community? And I think that a lot of these things, as we're thinking about these things and we're talking to people, my hope is that this year we can help a lot of those people find that community and find the resources to be in community together. Because I think it's important, and I hear people talking about it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many exciting things that are going on in the church. And I'm really excited for everything this year holds. And we have so much more. I mean, we could probably sit here for 2 hours and talk about all the exciting things we've got going on and all the exciting things that happened last year. And we're going to continue to talk about this as the podcast progresses, but we wanted to give you kind of a sneak preview and just kind of have this nice welcome back time. We're like, hey, we're jumping back into the podcast.
Because over the next few months, we're gonna tackle the fact that we got Youth has UR conference coming up, working with several local churches in the area. We have new recording stuff that songwriting is kicking off and doing and putting together some pieces for things. We're going to have different changes to the online community. We're going to different curriculums and series and things that we're going to tackle. There's different community impact things that are going on, and every month something new is happening, and every week on the podcast we're going to try to tackle each of these things so that we keep people in the loop of them. But it is a lot. We're going to do our best, but we may not be able to tackle quite everything. But we'll try.
Even me as a staff person, there's sometimes that people go, "Oh yeah, I'm involved with," and I'm like, I didn't know
involved with what?
And that's what I love too, is the discovery of that. Is like, wait a minute, there's people that they're not out like tooting their horn, holding their banner. They're just out in the trenches, going like, hey, I want to make an impact.
And that's what a movement is.
And I'd encourage you. If this is maybe the first podcast you listen to, or maybe one of the first that you've listened to. The whole purpose of this podcast is to not only help you get more connected in the church, but to know what's going on and to kind of give you that front row seat of like, hey, this is what this ministry is doing. This is what this ministry is doing. Here's who we are. And I think we're going to continue to do that. And I think it's going to be really fun. We've got some great podcasts that are planned for this season. So I really can't wait. Thank you guys so much for helping me
Thank you,
introduce
Zach.
us into this new season.
And I love the fact that you're here so you can actually I can feel it. You're landing the plane.
Landing
and everything, because we're going off on all these different things. I'm like, no, hang on. He's cinching this up for us, so appreciate that.
I don't have to just walk in the room and
do this.
Little like, guys, come on, we're making for those that are listening, we're doing the wrap it up symbol and cut type of symbol. So
the lights are about to go off in just a second.
There's a hook that comes off stage that Zach carries, and
see, we're doing it now. We're tangenting now. So very grateful for you, Zach, keeping us on track. So
thank you guys too. Well, we'll see you guys in the episode next week. Every Tuesday, we've got an episode that's coming out. It's going to be great. So thank you so much for listening.